virt Manager is the graphical front-end tool that we can use to manage our virtual guest machines. With virt Manager, we can monitor currently running guests, manage our disk image storage, and create new virtual machines. To access virt Manager, navigate to Applications, System Tools, Virtual Machine Manager. We are greeted with a simple interface displaying our single RHEL 6 guest. We can interact with our RHEL 6 guest by clicking on it, then pressing the Open button. Here we can see the login screen for our RHEL 6 guest. At the top, we have our toolbar with some common functions. First, we will look at the Pause button, which suspends the running guest. If we look back at our virt Manager window, we can see that the guest is paused. To resume the guest, just press the Pause button again. We can shut down the guest by pressing the power button icon. Before we do that, let's take a look at some of the options that are available to us by clicking on the down arrow button next to the power icon. Here we see an option where we can reboot the guest, shut down the guest, or force off the guest, which is the same thing as just plain pulling the plug on the guest. We also have a save option, which basically saves our current state of the virtual machine to disk and then shuts it down. For now, we are just going to shut down our guest. And our guest goes through a proper shutdown. Let's click on the Information button. Here we have a quick overview of the guest and some details about our host server. Then we have the Performance category, which will give you some statistics about your guest's memory and CPU usage while the guest is running. Next, we have our Processor category. We can see that this guest is only assigned one virtual processor. We can assign more if we want, but we cannot exceed the total available on the host system. Next, we have the Memory category, which is where we can modify how much RAM the guest gets from the hypervisor. Next, we have the Boot Options category. We can see the Auto Start feature that we set earlier with the virt command, which in virt Manager just requires a checkbox. Remember this location should you need to set up a guest to auto start with your host server in case you are asked to do so during your exam. We can also change the device that we boot from and in what order the guest should search those devices when attempting to boot. Next, we have our hard disk image. We see that we have a virt.io disk, and it is located at var lib livevirt images. Here we have the CD-ROM category. We can configure the CD-ROM device to be connected directly to the host CD-ROM drive, or we can have it mount an ISO image. I just wanted to quickly go over the most important categories, but I encourage you to review the rest of them on your own. Let's go ahead and start our guest back up. In our next video, we will create a virtual guest.